Hello, you beautiful people out there. What is going on? This is your friend Britik coming at you fast with another core breakdown video. Today we're going to be looking at the Atomization System. Now, as Sofan has said in the original video, this is just a concept. Okay, this isn't set in stone. All of this still needs to be tested, and all of this is still open to feedback. And I'll actually give my feedback as I have given it to the people over at MetaBuff in Discord for the last hour while analyzing this video for you guys. So first, let me break down everything that's going on, kind of try to explain it a little bit better in case you guys didn't understand it too well, and then kind of talk about my gripes with it. So number one big key takeaway about this new atomization system is that there's no more deck building. There's no more deck building, and there's no more attributes as we know them. There's no more affinities as we know them, where you would have chaos and order and all that jazz, right? That's gone. You have a general itemization shop that every single person has access to. Every person has access to all the items right off the bat. You don't need to collect cards anymore. So this is a lot like League of Legends, Smite, literally every other MOBA. Yeah, so, I mean, that kind of bums me out because I really liked feeling like I was collecting cards, like I was making a deck. There's kind of something tangible about that, but now it's just more so I'm going to be making builds from an item shop, and that's okay, that's cool, that's fine. It's probably better in the long run anyway for a more competitive game when everybody has access to the same exact items in the shop, so there's more kind of counterplay involved, so that's cool. Now, here's one thing that has kind of changed. So affinities are basically kind of like disciplines now. Not really. So let me go over this thing. There's this thing called disciplines, which add on to the regular item system. And the item system is pretty typical to other item systems, like in Smite, for example, where you have 3 different tiers and you need to stack them consecutively. So you need to build a tier 1 item first, and then you can build the tier 2 item on top of that, and then tier 3 item on top of that, and then you have your choices and all that. You have your different trees. So it's very similar to other item shops and other MOBAs, but these disciplines are where it differs. So disciplines basically group these certain these items right here that you're seeing. Disciplines group these items based on certain functionality. So for example, Dread is a discipline that groups items basically on how on buffing basic attack damage. Usually are going to be used by carries, right? Because it buffs basic attack. So most carries should be going under the Dread discipline. It's not something that's completely locked in stone, and again, every person has access to all, what is it, 5? Yeah, all 5 of the disciplines right off the bat. So it's not, again, it's not like deck building where you had to pick 2 affinities. It's just, these are just groups of items to kind of help you organize them better. But let's say you have 3 tiers of items, right? A tier 1, a tier 2, a tier 3 that are all fall under the same discipline. For example, Dread, which is the one they use here in this gameplay. Then you'll be able to get an extra bonus because you matched all 3 tiers. So you could stack these tiers in different ways. You can have your tier 1 be Dread, your tier 2 be Mystery, and your tier 3 be Asher. Those are 3 different kinds of disciplines. But you won't get that bonus in the end. So that bonus is called a discipline stone. When you get all 3 matching tiers, for example, Dread, you can put in a discipline stone that will give you an extra kind of attribute bonus, for example, when you equip it. And there's a few different types that you can choose from. So I don't know, I'm just making this one up right now, but let's say at the end of your basic attack lineage, right, your Dread, in these items they give you plus 3 physical damage, plus 12 physical damage, and then plus, 36 physical damage. So at the end of the day you have plus 51 physical damage. Now you can equip a discipline stone that might give you bonus damage on top of that, or it might give you, I don't know, lifesteal, maybe, if that's a thing. I don't know if it is. Or it might give you more attack speed with your attacks. Just something extra added for no cost at all. But if you're trying to switch that, if you're trying to sell those items and then equip into something else, it'll be more costly because now you have that stone to give up, because then you'll have to build up your tiers again to get that stone back. And so it's, you know, it's high risk, high reward kind of thing. Really, really benefits good decision making for those who are higher tier players. So another skill gap kind of thing to build off of. Now, like I said, there's Dread, which is for basic attack mostly. There's a discipline called Malink, which is for ability damage mostly. One for Mystery, that'll help mages a lot with ability damage and also stuff like regen, mana regen. There's Asher, that is a lot for utility, so like cooldown, you have or increased stun duration, stuff like that. And then Fortitude, which is for tanks, which is health and armor. So basically these, it's not like you pick Fortitude and then all of your items are fortitude, you can pick items that are in the fortitude category, discipline, and then if you stack them together, then they'll give you an extra armor or health bonus at the end, which is nice. So it's good. So if you kind of just match all the colors up together, then you should get an extra bonus. Now, there's these stats. There's a lot of stats in this game that have not been in Paragon that they're trying to push forward. One is the difference between your basic physical damage and energy damage and your conductive and radiant power. So now that we have both physical and energy damage and basic and ability damage in one game, they have to have different stats for it. So conductive is for basic attack scaling, and radiant power is for ability attack scaling, whereas you already have physical and energy damage. So if you're a physical type character like Twin Blast, you're going to be building into physical damage and probably conductive power, because that's what scales your basic attacks. Now, they're not exactly sure on how well these things will scale on each other, but I gave feedback that, well, if conductive and radiant are more specific, whereas physical damage, for example, would give you bonuses to both your basic and ability damage, then conductive and radiant power should have higher scaling because they're more specific. But at the same time, they should be a percentage-based scaling and not just a flat scaling like physical and energy damage are, because then you would have Twin Blast just stacking nothing but conductive power and just having his basic attacks go through the roof, which would be dumb. You should have something to scale off of, just how crit chance and crit damage have something to scale off of, which are actually back in this game as well. Now, there's a lot of stats that are in this game. A few that kind of drew my attention is that there was no lifesteal for basic attacks. So again, I don't know if that's going to be just an item's active or passive, or if they're going to implement it later, or if that's going to be one of these discipline stones, but there was no basic lifesteal. There was ability damage lifesteal like Spell Vamp, which you guys are seeing on your screen right now, but there was no basic attack that I could see, which was kind of weird. There's a lot of stuff here that's kind of, familiar already. Two big things, though, is that you have physical penetration flat and you have physical penetration percentage, and you also have energy penetration similarly to that. So what that means is that percentage-based physical penetration would be more useful against tanks who build a ton of armor. For example, let's just say 200. Let's throw out a number there, 200. You cut that in half. If you have 50% physical pen built up on your Twin Blast, you'll cut that in half. So they'll only have 100 armor penetration. Whereas flat armor penetration is, it would just take away 20 of the armor, or it would take 30 away from the armor. So flat penetration would be better if you're like an assassin type character trying to kill carries who might only have about 20 armor, base armor on their character. You just need to get rid of that because 50% of 20 is only 10. Why would you do that when you can just use 20 and for way, way cheaper, right? So flat penetration would be better to kill stuff like carries, and then percentage penetration would be better to kill stuff like tanks, and then there's stuff for ability as well. So same exact concept for ability. That's why there's two separate things there. And then you also have your true damage. There's a true damage stat in there, which is really weird because true damage ignores armor. It ignores stuff besides mitigations. So if you're mitigated by like a debuff that decreases your damage by 20%, then you're still mitigated. But true damage basically cuts through armor and other mitigations that are not included on your character by default. So it's a really weird stat. It's a high skill, high tier kind of concept in MOBA, and it's weird that they're making that a stat. So I'm not really too keen on that, and I feel like that could complicate things. But basically, that's pretty much it for the atomization system. The disciplines are really what's important here for this. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, drop a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. As always, make sure I have a wonderful day. Peace.